What's up guys, it's Paraly5er here, and welcome to Mythbusting Part 26. This is the series in which I take your myths from the comments and test them in the game. This is our first Mythbusting in 1.4, the fully yoked edition, so a lot of the myths I'm testing today are my own. Make sure to leave yours in the comments below so I can use them in a future episode. Also, if you enjoy this series, please leave a like on the video as it helps out massively. Our first myth today is myth. Can you send things other than players through teleporters? Let's test it out. I first tested this using our good friend the Handy Gnat, and as you can see, he can indeed pass through the teleporties. Next up, we have arrows shot from a bow, which also seem to be able to teleport through. Finally, we have the Moldy Matriarch Bomb, which yet again is also able to teleport through. Thus, this myth is in fact confirmed. I wonder if there are any cool uses people will find for this. Since our last myth was true, we're going to move into another myth that follows on from it. Myth, can you relocate teleporties through themselves? Let's check it out. I pressed the relocate key on my teleporty and went through, and as you can see, I was able to place it on the other side. So this myth is confirmed. This one's actually really useful if you carry a teleporty everywhere you go. Then just place it down and go through if you need to empty your inventory. If you plan on staying at home, just bring your teleporty with you using this method so you don't have to go back for it. Our next myth today is using our beloved teleporties yet again, and it says, myth. Can you create an infinite loop using the teleporties? This comes from the classic Portal game, where you used to be able to create an infinite loop to fall forever and build your momentum. I first tried this in survival, and while I was able to loop, I had to be holding the W key to move, which doesn't really count. So next I hopped into Playgrounds, but it turns out the teleporties can't be placed upside down, which made it difficult to create this loop. Next I tried putting a trampoline below the teleporty, and this actually worked. I was able to bounce into the other teleporty over and over, creating an infinite loop without touching any keys on my keyboard. So this myth is indeed confirmed. You can create an infinite loop, however this doesn't increase your momentum like in Portal, as it uses a trampoline and not gravity. Today's next myth is myth. Can you remix if you haven't beaten all of the objectives? Let's check it out. I headed to the remixer in Playgrounds, and as you can see, no objectives were done. When I went through to check the machine, it didn't even give me a prompt, because quests aren't enabled in Playgrounds, so you can't even use the machine. Into survival now, and as you can see, I still haven't done the objectives. I use some voodoo magic to bust down the door, and when I get to the remixer, I get a prompt that says no cheating, and stops me from remixing. I found this pretty funny the first time I found it, but that does mean this myth is indeed busted. You can't remix if you haven't completed the objectives. Sticking inside of the remixer room, our next myth is myth. Can you collect the items behind the glass? Now, as you've probably seen inside of this room, there's a bunch of stuff behind the glass that nobody knows how to get to. So I used my magic powers to remove the glass and see if we can pick it up. But it turns out these items are all fake and can't be interacted with whatsoever, meaning this myth is busted. There isn't any items behind the glass. They are all fake and you aren't supposed to be able to get back here. Today's next myth is a funny one and might even be patched by the time this video is released. Myth. Ambassador works underwater. Now this sounds ridiculous, but let's test it out. I equipped Ambassador and found myself a water flea. When I went up to it, it didn't attack me at all. Then, once I disabled the mutation, the water flea instantly started attacking me. I next tried this with the diving bell spider. With Ambassador equipped, it ignored me, but as soon as I removed it, the spider started attacking me again. So this myth is confirmed. You can use Ambassador underwater to stop enemies attacking you, and it does also work on spiny water fleas too. Our next myth today involves the brand new Funga Spear, and it says myth. Does the Funga heal the IBM? Now we know that explosive attacks are supposed to heal the IBM, and the Funga's charged attack does an explosive AoE, so will it heal the boss? Let's test it out. I headed to the IBM fight with my level 15 Funga and lowered the boss's health to first make sure she had room to heal. As you can see, the bomb of the Moldy Matriarch does heal her, and so will any other explosives. However, when I tested the Funga's charged attack, it actually damaged the IBM. Now this could be that the explosion heals her, but the spear damages her more, so I tried again with a level 0 spear, but it still damaged the boss. That means this myth is busted. The Funga's charged attack doesn't seem to heal the IBM, and if it does less than the damage dealt by the spear's charged attack. Next up we have a myth which may turn a seemingly useless item useful. This myth is myth. Do the Burgle Eyes have a use? Now the Burgle Eyes were added in the fully yoked update, and when equipped they make your screen look like this. Yeah, it's pretty bad. But does this do anything? Well, after running around the map testing stuff, I still can't find any use for these eyes. They just don't do anything special. They have built-in functions like making the flipper better, but alone they seem to have no secret use. If any of you find a secret use for these eyes, then please let me know, but for now I'm going to say that this myth is in fact busted. They don't seem to have any sort of secret abilities. Today's next myth has been sent in by Idiot, who says, myth, you can steal infused weapons from bosses in New Game Plus 4. Let's check it out. Now in New Game Plus 4 and higher, bosses will drop infused tier 4 weapons when defeated, but can we steal them from the bosses? I decided to test this out using the Mantis, and after about 30 minutes of testing, I was only able to steal Mantis chunks the entire time. So as far as I can tell, this myth is busted. You can't get infused weapons by stealing them from enemies. Our next myth today has been sent in by Frost, who says, myth, what happens if you feed the infected ant queens for a 4th time? Now the infected ant queens are another new addition in the fully yoked version, and whilst infected the player can feed them a mouldy hoagie which will unlock some new recipes. The 3rd time you do this will unlock the final reward, which is the glow bassa necklace. So what happens if we feed them a 4th time? I hopped into a world to give it a go, and as you can see, it does nothing. You use a mouldy hoagie and get nothing in return. So this myth is busted. There aren't any secret rewards for feeding the infected ant queens more than 3 times. You just get scammed.
Did you see what I did there?
It's a scam.
Our penultimate myth today links us back to the start of the episode as it involves the Telepotties once again. Myth, you can use the Super Duper to dupe the Telepotties. I headed to the Super Duper with my Telepotty in my inventory, and when I went to dupe it, it was greyed out. Hovering over the item shows that it's actually too expensive to dupe, and you need another duper disc to do so, which obviously doesn't exist. So this myth is busted. You cannot dupe the Telepotties in the Super Duper in Grounded. The final myth today involves one of the new weapons, the Salt Chipper. Myth, the Salt Chipper works with Smasher. Now, the Salt Chipper is a brand new pickaxe weapon in the game that is a 2-handed hammer. It does busting damage and can be used just like a hammer to break rocks, upgrade rocks, and other materials. But does it work with the Smasher mutation? Let's test it out. I found myself an Orb Weaver and went to hit it with Smasher equipped, but it didn't seem to work whatsoever. So I switched Smasher for the Barbarian mutation, and this actually did take effect. So for some reason, the Salt Chipper doesn't work with Smasher and instead works with Barbarian, meaning this myth is sadly busted. This is such a shame, as it would have been really nice to finally have a good weapon that works with the Smasher mutation. Thanks so much for watching today's episode of Mythbusting. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like on it. I'll see you in the next Grounded video. Have a great rest of your day.